How's it going, guys? Andy here and welcome to another video. This video I think will be very valuable to quite a lot of people watching. I've called it Online Arbitrage for Beginners. Now I think a lot of people jump into selling on Amazon using online arbitrage as a base point, but I do think a lot of people get it wrong, make mistakes, and also I think a lot of people get disillusioned and give up before really getting into any decent profit. A lot of the complaints I get with online arbitrage is there is too much competition, there's too much undercutting, I can't find enough profitable items, and my stock is taking too long to sell. Now all of these issues can be solved by running this business correctly. If you've got these problems, it means you're not doing it right as far as I'm concerned. Now, I wanted to create this video to show you what I think is the best way to run this business. It means you're in profit, you're going to make a lot more profit, and you'll be able to build a long-term sustainable business this way. So if you're just getting started and it's not quite working out the way you wanted to, or you're about to get started, then this is a really important video to watch because I think it's going to help you a lot. So hang around all the way through to the end of this video because at the end I've got a bit of a bonus for you as well. So to kick it off, let's very briefly cover what online arbitrage is. It's a very posh sounding name, but ultimately all it is finding cheap and discounted items online via retail websites, buying those items and selling them on Amazon using the FBA method. The principle behind this business is simply a method of filtering the data that you can find online to make a factual, data-driven decision on what to buy in order to maximize your profits on Amazon using FBA. Now the back-end process is relatively automated and taken care of with Amazon. So all we have to concentrate on is buying well. Everything else is just a procedure. It's straightforward, it's easy to learn. The real talent and the real key comes in buying and making well thought out buying decisions. Once you hit that right, then it's just a case of rinse and repeat. You really can semi-automate this, scale it up very easy, and make an awful lot of money. But there are some principal mistakes that a lot of people make, and I see it time and time again. I see the sellers on Amazon. It's obvious they're new sellers and they're making those mistakes time and time again. It's always the new sellers. So if you've been watching my YouTube channel for a while, you will know one of my primary pet hates is unnecessary price cutting or penny pinching. It's usually a habit brought over from eBay because a lot of eBay sellers come onto Amazon and try Amazon out using the arbitrage process, but are effectively still in the eBay mindset and bring their old eBay habits to Amazon. That's your first major mistake. Amazon is not eBay. It does not work the same way. In fact, Amazon's major strengths is it's not eBay. It does not work in the same way. So if you are an eBay seller or you have been an eBay seller and you're looking to get started on Amazon, try to look at it with a fresh insight and a fresh perspective, because if you bring your eBay habits to Amazon, you will cause yourself problems. And the major issue comes down to competition. If you stop listening to this video right now, take note of this one sentence as being the primary sentence of this entire video. And if you listen to one thing, listen to this. You do not need to be the cheapest on Amazon. You do not need to be the cheapest on Amazon. You don't need to be a penny cheaper than the other guy on Amazon. You don't need to be 2 pennies cheaper than the other guy. You don't need to be $3 or £5. You just don't need to be. If you match the lowest price of the other FBA seller, not the other merchant fulfilled seller, but the other FBA seller on Amazon, you will share that buy box, which means if there's just you and one other person, every other person that clicks on that listing will see your item on the buy box, which means you'll get 50% of the traffic and 50% of the sales. If there are 3 of you, then you'll get every third one. That means you can keep the price higher and still get the sales, because ultimately what happens when you go 2 pence cheaper than the other guy? He's going to come back and say, son of a, and go 2 pence cheaper than you. And then a new seller will come in and say, oh, I need to be the cheapest. So he will then be 5 pence cheaper than you. If you think you're going to undercut the current seller by 2p and remain the cheapest, you're dreaming, because the next guy will come and do the same thing to you. By undercutting the last person by 2 pence or 5p, you're not just taking off 2 pence or 5p, you're initiating a steady decline in profits, because the next person will go and the next person will go, and it will slowly go down and go down and go down, and that will keep going down until the lowest common denominator, until the person who is willing to take the least profit, or the person who is desperate enough not to be left holding onto the stock and needs to get rid of his stock. So he's going to go even lower, to the point where maybe he doesn't even have profit, or he's barely breaking even just because he's desperate to get rid of his stock or worried he's not going to get his money back. Don't do that. Do not do that. You're not helping yourself. You're pissing off other experienced sellers who are trying to make real profit. They're making the buying decisions based on the profit that they want. You are then coming in and undermining that listing, which provokes other people to do the same, which only results in one thing. You are making less money. And most of the time, it means you make very little. What is the point? You've still got to go out, buy something, have it delivered, label it, repackage it, and send it in. There is an element of work involved in this. And if you end up undercutting each other to the point where you're not making any money, you may as well go and get a job in McDonald's, because you're going to be working for less than minimum wage. And that is not what this business is about. There are two different types of people that undercut. One is the person that I've described, the beginner. They're the people that have just started. They usually buy 1, 2, or 3 items and they go straight in and undercut people. Now, the second type of undercutter is a different scenario. These are large-scale corporate companies that are buying on massive wholesale orders. They usually have their own warehouses and truckloads coming in on a daily basis, and they're going to be pricing to an algorithm. They're going to be using reprices, and they simply have far too much volume to be able to individually price their listings and look at the competition and make educated pricing decisions. So it's all algorithmic. They want to dominate the listing. They want to go in there. They're quite happy to make 15 or even 12 or 10% profit margin, because they're selling thousands of items a day. And if they can make £1 or $1 net profit on every single item, they're golden, because they're making thousands of dollars a day. That is their business concept, and it works for them because it's sheer volume, massive volume. But that's not what we're doing. We're not in that business. They are not our competition. If those sellers have those items, you either have to assess whether you can make money at that point, and quite often you can, because their wholesale price is quite often not as competitive as an online arbitrage item in a 70 or 80% sale. You're going to get items cheaper than wholesale, so you might be able to match that price. If so, great. Otherwise, if you have got those guys with 500 items in stock and it's below what you can make a profit on, then just move on. There's plenty more opportunities out there, so you don't have to compete with those guys. Hopefully I've got that point across to anyone that maybe have thought about undercutting their competition. Now that I've got that little rant out of the way, let's look into the mechanics of making a buying decision. So a lot of the time, the tool I use for my online arbitrage is FBA Wizard. It's a piece of software that you can use that massively speeds up the process of looking and highlighting profitable stock that's available online for you then to sell on Amazon. Let me be clear, you don't need this software to run the business, but it's a good tool when you start scaling up, because you can search and filter through a much larger amount of potential stock than you can on your own. So I'm showing you what I use, but if you're just starting out and you have a relatively limited budget, you don't need to get this straight away. You can do this yourself manually. This is a time-saving and scaling tool. This tool should be paid for with your Amazon profits within the first month. There's no reason why you shouldn't be making at the very least enough to pay for this. And to be honest with you, should be 10 times more in your first 30 days without a problem. So if you're just getting started, I would suggest practice without this first. Get a few purchases under your belt. Get used to the buying and selling process. Then you can grab this once you start scaling. If you feel like you've got a good idea of the online arbitrage process, there's a link in the description box below for FBA Wizard. It's my affiliate link, so I'll get a small commission from FBA Wizard for recommending you and sending you over there. It doesn't affect the price you pay. It's exactly the same anyway, so that might be worth bearing in mind. If, however, you're just getting started and you've still got a bit to learn in this process, then my advice is just hold off. Definitely something that will add a lot more profit to your business and a lot more scale, but wait until you have a bit more experience when you can make better and more effective use of it. Thank you for watching part 1 of Online Arbitrage for Beginners. Coming up in part 2, I'm going to be showing you the mechanics of a buying decision. I'm going to be showing you how to understand a keeper graph, the key elements that make up a consistent, effective buying decision when some deals look like a good buy and are definitely not, and I'll show you how to understand the whole supply and demand concept. Be sure to subscribe to catch the next video and ensure post notifications are turned on so you don't miss the next video. That's the little bell icon when you click subscribe. This ensures you'll get notified for every new video that's uploaded. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Andy Lawrence and I will catch you on the very next video.